The orchestra was playing The Way You Look Tonight when my mother materialized beside us on the dance floor. One moment, it was just me and Michael spinning slowly under the crystal chandeliers. The next, she was there, hand outstretched toward the gift table. I didn't understand what was happening until she turned around, holding the oversized check Michael's parents had presented during the reception. The one with $175,000 written in careful calligraphy. The one meant for our house down payment. "Diana, sweetheart, we need to talk." She was smiling, but her grip on the check was white-knuckled. Michael stopped dancing. "Mrs. Torres, that's not... Your sister's business needs this more," Mom said, speaking over him. The music continued. Other couples still dancing around us. Oblivious. "You understand, don't you, honey? Her boutique is struggling." This would save it. My father appeared on her other side, nodding. "You were always the giving one, Diana. Always thinking of family first. Your sister needs this opportunity." I stood frozen in my wedding dress, the one I depaid for myself because the wedding fund Mom promised me had mysteriously evaporated when my sister Valerie needed emergency capital for her first failed business venture. Michael's hand tightened on mine. He didn't say anything. Just smiled. A smile I'd learned meant he was absolutely furious and caught his father's eye across the ballroom. Richard Montgomery three-stepped away from his conversation with the mayor and made his way through the dancing couples. Michael's mother, Carolyn, followed, her expression shifting from pleasant to predatory in the space of 3 seconds. "Is there a problem?" Richard's voice was polite. Everything about the Montgomerys was polite. They were old money, the kind that didn't need to shout because everyone already listened. My mother turned, still clutching the check. "No problem at all. Diana and I were just discussing how this generous gift would be better used helping her sister." "I'm sorry," Carolyn interrupted smoothly. "Did you say her sister?" "Yes, Valerie. She has a boutique that..." "I'm familiar with Valerie's business ventures." Caroline's smile could have frozen champagne. 3 failed stores in 5 years, each capitalized with money Diana earned or borrowed. "Is that correct, Diana?" I found my voice. "Yes. And this check," Richard gestured to it, "is a wedding gift to our son and his wife. For their future home. Not a business investment for a demonstrated financial liability." My father bristled. "Now see here..." "No, you see here." Richard's voice didn't rise, but suddenly it was the only sound I could hear. The orchestra still played, couples still danced, but in our small circle everything went silent. "That check is made out to Michael Montgomery and Diana Torres Montgomery, joint names. It cannot be cashed by anyone else." Mom's face went pale. "Well, Diana can endorse it." "Diana can," Carolyn agreed. "If she chooses to commit bank fraud by endorsing a check made jointly to her and her husband without his consent and then giving the proceeds to a third party. Of course, that would be a felony. Our attorneys would have to get involved. It would be very ugly. You'd threaten your own daughter-in-law," Dad sputtered. "We're not threatening, Diana," Richard said calmly. "We're explaining the legal reality to you. That check belongs to both of them. Not just Diana, not Valerie. Both of them." Michael spoke for the first time since his parents arrived. "And I'm not signing it over to your daughter's failing business. So unless you'd like to explain to 200 wedding guests including 3 judges, 2 congressmen, and the district attorney why you're attempting to steal a $175,000 check during the first dance, I suggest you put it back." My mother looked around. For the first time, she seemed to notice that our little drama had attracted attention. Nearby couples had stopped dancing. Michael's college roommate, who was, in fact, an assistant, was watching with interest. "This is family business," Mom hissed. "No," I said quietly. My voice was shaking, but I said it anyway. "This is theft. Put the check back." "Diana, how can you say that? I'm your mother." "Who's trying to steal my wedding gift? At my wedding?" During my first dance, Valerie pushed through the crowd then, probably sensing the commotion. She was wearing a dress that cost more than my car, funded by the emergency loan I'd given her last year that she'd never paid back. "What's going on?" "Mom said you were being difficult. Your mother tried to take a check that doesn't belong to her," Carolyn said pleasantly. "We're just clarifying the legal situation. It's for my business. Diana always helps with my businesses." Your failed businesses, Michael corrected. 3 boutiques, all bankrupt. $127,000 from Diana's savings over 5 years, none of it repaid. We have the documentation. Valerie's face flushed. You've been tracking it? Diana's been tracking it. I just compiled it for our prenuptial financial disclosures. He smiled at her. Did you think we wouldn't notice that my wife has negative savings, despite earning $95,000 a year as a senior accountant? The silence was deafening now. The orchestra had actually stopped playing. My father tried once more. Family helps family. Family asks, Richard interrupted. Family doesn't steal. If Valerie needs help, she can make a formal business proposal, with projections, market analysis, and a repayment plan. Like any other loan applicant. We're not a bank. Then don't expect bank-sized loans. Carolyn turned to my mother. The check, please. Before this becomes even more embarrassing, Mom's hands were shaking as she extended it toward me. I took it, feeling the expensive paper, seeing the careful calligraphy of our names. Our names. Not Valerie's. This is what you choose. Mom's voice broke. Money over family? You chose money over family when you tried to steal this. I handed the check to Michael. He folded it carefully and put it in his jacket pocket. We gave you everything. Dad's voice rose. We raised you, fed you, clothed you. You did the legal minimum required of parents, Michael said coldly. You don't get a $175,000 bonus for that. Especially not stolen from your daughter's wedding gifts. Valerie was crying now. I can't believe you're being so selfish, Diana. After everything I'm going through, everything you're going through is called consequences, I said. My voice was steadier now. You opened 3 boutiques in terrible locations with no business plan and no understanding of retail. You burned through money like it was kindling, and every time I bailed you out. Not anymore, but I'm your sister, and that means I should fund your 4th failure? Watch you waste another $175,000 on a boutique that'll close in 8 months? You don't know it'll fail. The first one lasted 6 months. The second lasted 7. The third made it to 11. You've never turned a profit, never broken even, never even covered your operating costs. You're not a struggling businesswoman. Val, you're someone playing dress-up with other people's money. She looked like I'd slapped her. My mother stepped forward, reaching for my arm. Diana, please. Carolyn intercepted her, physically stepped between us. Mrs. Torres, I think it's time for you to return to your table. You can't tell me what to do at my daughter's wedding. Actually, Richard said, pulling out his phone, we can. We paid for this wedding. The contract with the venue is in our name. The catering, the orchestra, the flowers all contracted and paid for by us. Technically, you're a guest at our event. And we can ask any guest to leave if they're causing a disturbance. My father's face went purple. You're threatening to throw us out of our own daughter's wedding. We're suggesting you return to your seats and enjoy the reception. Or leave. Those are your options. The standoff lasted maybe 10 seconds. It felt like an hour. Finally, my mother turned and walked back to her table. My father followed. Valerie stood there for another moment, mascara running, before she fled toward the bathroom. The orchestra started playing again. Conversations resumed. Michael pulled me back into dance position. You okay? He murmured. No, but I will be. Carolyn touched my shoulder gently. We'll handle the fallout, dear. You enjoy your wedding. There will be fallout? Richard smiled. Oh yes. But we're very good at handling it. They weren't wrong about the fallout. My phone started buzzing before we even left for our honeymoon. Texts from cousins, aunts, uncles, family friends. All with the same message. How could I humiliate my parents like that? At my own wedding? Over money? I turned my phone off. Michael did the same. We spent 2 weeks in Bali, completely disconnected. It was bliss. When we returned, there were 347 text messages, 89 voicemails, and a Facebook group dedicated to what a terrible daughter I was. Michael's parents had been busy too. They'd sent a letter to every person who'd contacted us. Professional letterhead, lawyer-approved language, explaining that my parents had attempted to steal a wedding gift and that any further harassment of Michael and me would be considered interference with our marriage and dealt with legally. The messages stopped, mostly. My mother tried once more, showing up at our apartment, the one we were renting while house hunting with our $175,000 down payment. She knocked. I answered. Can we talk? About what? I'm sorry for taking the check. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, she waited. I didn't invite her in. Is that all you're going to say? What do you want me to say, Mom? I want you to forgive me. I made a mistake. You didn't make a mistake, you made a choice. You chose Valerie over me, again. That's not fair. You spent my college fund on her private school. You spent my car savings on her first boutique. You spent my emergency savings on her second boutique. You've chosen her every single time there was a choice to be made. The only difference this time is that someone stopped you. Because you married into money. You don't need... I married Michael because I love him. His family's money has nothing to do with us. Then why won't you help your sister? Because she's 34 years old and needs to learn to help herself. Mom's eyes filled with tears. When did you become so cold? When I realized being warm just meant getting burned. She left. I closed the door, sat on the couch and cried. Michael found me there 20 minutes later, back from his run. Your mom? Yeah. What does she want? Forgiveness. Without change. Without understanding what she did wrong. The narcissist's prayer, he said, pulling me close. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. I laughed. It sounded wet. When did you memorize that? After the third time your family tried to guilt you into funding Valerie's lifestyle. I've been doing research. We found a house 3 months later. 4 bedrooms, big backyard, good school district for the kids we were planning. The $175,000 down payment meant our mortgage was manageable, comfortable. My parents weren't invited to the housewarming. Valerie wasn't either. Valerie's 4th boutique opened 6 months after our wedding. Funded by a loan from my parents, they'd taken out a second mortgage on their house. It closed 9 months later. They blamed me, of course. Posted on Facebook about ungrateful children who abandoned family in their time of need. Hi! Michael's parents' lawyer sent them a cease and desist. The posts came down. 1 year after the wedding, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer.
Diana, it's Aunt Sharon, my mother's sister.
The reasonable one. Hi, I wanted to call and apologize. For not speaking up at the wedding, for not speaking up before. I've watched your parents treat you like an ATM for Valerie's dreams for years. It wasn't right. I was quiet for a moment. Thank you for saying that. Your mother is never going to change, you know? I know. She genuinely believes Valerie needs more help because she's struggled more. She can't see that Valerie's struggling because she's never had to face consequences. I know that too. Are you okay? Really okay? Yeah. I think I am. For the first time in a long time. Good, you deserve to be... We talked for an hour. She told me about her own struggles with my mother's favoritism, how my mom had always seen Valerie as the special one, the creative one, the one who needed nurturing. How I was just expected to be fine on my own. You were competent, so you were ignored, Sharon said. That's not love. That's neglect with good grades. The description was so perfect I started crying again. 2 years after the wedding, Valerie sent a Facebook message. Can we talk? I thought about it for a week before responding. About what? I'm in therapy now. Working through some things. I realized I owe you an apology. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. I brought Michael. Valerie looked different. Less polished. More real. I'm sorry, she said. For letting Mom and Dad give me everything while you got nothing. For taking your money and never paying it back. For expecting you to fund my dreams while you sacrificed yours. You were right. All of it, the boutiques, the businesses, I was playing dress up with your money. What changed? I got a job, a real job, at someone else's boutique. Started at minimum wage, worked my way up to assistant manager. And I finally understood what you've been trying to tell me: running a business is hard. It takes skill and knowledge and experience. I had none of those things. I just had money. Your money. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm trying to make amends. I can't pay back the $127,000, not yet, maybe not ever. But I can acknowledge it was wrong. I can stop pretending I was entitled to it. We talked for 2 hours. She told me about her therapy, her job, her realization that our parents had done her a disservice by never letting her fail. They tried to save me from consequences, she said. And it turned me into someone who couldn't handle reality. Are they in therapy? No, they still think they did nothing wrong. They still think you're being cruel for setting boundaries. I know. Does that bother you? Not anymore. I can't control what they think. I can only control what I accept. Valerie and I didn't become close after that. But we stayed in touch. Coffee every few months. Valerie and I didn't become close after that. But we stayed in touch. Coffee every few months. She paid me $50 a month toward the debt, all she could afford on her retail salary. It would take 212 years to pay off at that rate, but it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about acknowledgement. My parents never apologized. Never acknowledged wrongdoing. They moved to Arizona 2 years later, sold their house to cover the second mortgage they'd taken out for Valerie's failed boutique. They didn't tell me they were moving. I found out from Sharon. Do you want their new address? She asked. No, they're hoping you'll reach out. I won't. I understand. 3 years after the wedding, Michael and I had our first child. A daughter. We named her Eleanor, after Michael's grandmother. My parents found out through Facebook. Sent a card with a check for $50 and a note. For our granddaughter. We hope you'll let us be part of her life. I deposited the check in Eleanor's college fund and didn't respond. No, Carolyn asked me about it over Sunday dinner. Are you going to let them meet her? I don't know, maybe someday. When she's old enough to understand why we're not close. You don't owe them a relationship with your daughter. I know, but she deserves to know where she comes from. Even the difficult parts. You're a better person than I am, Carolyn said. I learned from the best. She squeezed my hand. 4 years after the wedding, Valerie got engaged. She called to tell me personally. I wanted you to know before you saw it on Facebook. And Dot, I wanted to ask if you'd come to the wedding. Are Mom and Dad paying for it? Mark and I are. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. We're keeping it simple. I'll think about it. I went, Michael came with me. My parents were there, of course. Older, grayer. They smiled tentatively when they saw me. I smiled back. Didn't approach them. During the reception, my mother tried to give me Eleanor's first Christmas present. We thought she might like this doll. Mail it to our house, please. Can't I just give it to you now? No, our boundaries include gift giving. Everything gets screened before Eleanor sees it. She looked hurt. You think we give her something harmful? I think you've spent 4 years trying to find ways around our no-contact boundary. This is another one. Mail it. If it's appropriate, she get it. She left the gift on the table and walked away. Valerie found me later. Thank you for coming. You're welcome. Congratulations. I know it's complicated with Mom and Dad here. It's always complicated with them. They ask about you, about Eleanor. What do you tell them? That you're happy, that you're building a good life, that they should respect your boundaries. Do they listen? No, but I keep saying it anyway. 5 years after the wedding, the $175,000 check became a family legend. Michael's cousins referenced it. Remember when Diana's parents tried to steal your wedding gift? It was always said with a mix of horror and admiration. Horror that my parents tried. Admiration that we stopped them. I stopped feeling embarrassed about it, started owning it as a moment of strength. My parents tried to steal my wedding gift, I'd say at dinner parties. My in-laws stopped them. My husband backed me up. I learned I deserved to be protected. People always asked the same question. Do you regret it? Pressing charges against your own parents? We never pressed charges, just threatened to. But I'd answer anyway. No, they tried to steal $175,000. They got stopped. They faced consequences. That's not something to regret. But they're your parents, and I'm their daughter. They should have treated me like one. That usually ended the conversation. 6 years after the wedding, Eleanor asked why she didn't see Grandma and Grandpa Torres like she saw Grandma and Grandpa Montgomery. It's complicated, sweetie. Did they do something bad? They made choices that hurt Mommy, and they've never said sorry in a way that felt real. Are you still mad? No, I'm just fearful. Can I meet them someday? Maybe. When you're older. When you can understand that family is complicated. Okay, she went back to her dolls. Crisis averted, for now. 7 years after the wedding, I got a call from Sharon. Your father had a heart attack. He's okay, but it was serious. Is he in the hospital? He's home now. Your mother wanted me to call you. She couldn't call herself? She's afraid you'll hang up. She's right, Diana. I'm glad he's okay, truly, but I'm not ready to open that door again. They're getting older. Time is finite. I know. But I can't set myself on fire to keep them warm, not even if time is running out. Sharon sighed. I understand, just think about it. I thought about it. Talk to Michael. Talk to my therapist. Talk to Caroline. Everyone said the same thing. Only if you want to. Only if it's healthy for you. I sent flowers to the hospital with a card. Glad you're recovering. Take care, Diana, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. Thank you for the flowers. Your father was so happy. Maybe this could be a fresh start. Call me when you're ready. I wasn't ready. I'm still not ready. Maybe someday I will be. Or maybe I won't. Either way, I'm at peace with it. Because 7 years ago, during my first dance as a married woman, my mother tried to steal my future. And I learned I was worth protecting. That lesson cost $175,000, but it was worth every penny.